If you think looking at the red bottoms is all that matters for authenticating Louboutins, think again. The box, the dust bag, even the tissue paper can help you spot a fake instantly if you know where to look. Welcome to part 1 of my 4-part course that will take you from novice to expert in authenticating Louboutins. My Legit Check guide is going to be different than other videos. We're not just going to cover the obvious red flags. We're going to compare and contrast current styles with styles from 10 to 15 years ago, and then we're going to dive into that Vero Cuoio stamped era as well, so that you know what authentic looks like no matter what the era. After my video series, you'll be able to spot a fake from across the room. So before you click buy on those pre-loved red bottoms, watch my entire series first. It could save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Not to mention the heartache of finding out that your dream pair is actually fake. So without further ado, let's get started. So this episode is called Everything But the Shoes. Do not skip this episode. I know it's really tempting because we're not actually talking about the shoes, but the quickest way to identify a fake is not looking at the shoes, it's looking at all the stuff that comes with it. This is the first thing I always do when I'm checking out a listing. A great example is the authenticity card. So it is a well-known fact that Louboutin does not include authenticity cards with his shoes. So if you're looking at a listing and you see there's an authenticity card, you already know it's fake. Move along. You're done. Report that listing and move on. With every listing, you want to start out looking at the stuff that comes with the shoe before you spend all that time and effort analyzing the shoe. Because people are trying to make fakes of a designer shoe, they're going to focus most of their effort into that shoe, into trying to make that shoe look perfect. And a lot of times they overlook the stuff that comes with the shoe, the box, the dust bag, the paperwork that comes with it, even the tissue paper. Louboutin has a specific type of tissue paper that he uses in his shoes. Those are things that are really easy for someone making a fake to overlook because they're so focused on making the shoe look as accurate as possible. You will save yourself so much time and money if you do it this way. We're going to start out by doing an unboxing of a newer pair of shoes and an older pair. Right off the bat, you can see there's some differences in the style. So we're going to start out by going over the similarities because these are the things that should be consistently the same no matter how old the shoe. Number 1 is going to be the color of the box. It's always this cardboard color. When you look at the box up close, you will see that there are horizontal lines. If they're vertical, it's probably a fake.
This side is always horizontal, the longer side, and then the shorter edges are actually vertical because they match the top of the box. So the top of the box is going horizontal and then the lines go straight down, if that makes sense. 99.9% of the boxes out there are going to look just like this. We did find one authentic example of a very, very old style boot, the Goya boot, and this one was a little bit different. It looks like they just kept the lines horizontal on the sides, but the top, you can see the top was still horizontal, the lines were not vertical, so always look at that top lid, make sure it is horizontal, and then if it's a really, really, really old shoe, pre-2007, slight chance you might see the horizontal lines across the entire box and not the vertical lines here.
So the next thing you want to look at is the actual color of the lines. It should be this very muted cardboard color. It's just slightly darker than the box. What that means is up close, of course, you're going to see the lines. But if you're looking at a box from across the room, you're not going to notice the lines because it's such a muted color. If you are holding the box back or looking at it from across the room and you can see the lines, it's probably a fake. And the interior should be white. It is always white. So all Louboutin boxes, no matter what the era, are going to be this cardboard color. And then they're going to have white interior. The one thing you want to know is that everything on the box should be perfect. Even like the cuts along the seams should be perfectly straight. There is never anything on a Louboutin product, whether it's the box, the dust bags, the shoe, the paperwork, Nothing is ever even remotely crooked. There's so much attention to detail in everything that he makes. How perfectly straight that cut is right here. Now, the only caveat is if it's a limited edition shoe, then the box will be a limited edition. And I'm going to show you a picture right here so you can see what I'm talking about. So that's the only caveat, is if it's a special limited edition shoe. But if that's the case, it will be very easy to authenticate that shoe because it is a limited edition. There's going to be tons of photos of it online, and it's going to be very hard for anyone to try to replicate. After that, you're going to look at the side of the lid and you're going to look for the Louboutin signature. It should be dead center in the middle. It should not be off-centered at all. You'll notice that the older box has the Louboutin, and then the newer box actually says Christian Louboutin. So that brings us to the first difference. You can see that on older styles, Christian Louboutin is kind of slanted, but it's in the middle of the box. So they're both going to have signatures in the middle of the box, but the older style, it's just slanted a little bit. It's also thicker, so it's a lot thicker than this newer style. And then the Paris is always in the right hand corner. The newer boxes, the signature is straight in the middle instead of slanted. And then you're going to actually see the Paris right underneath the signature. The number one trick that I do to authenticate a box is I actually run my fingers over it. So the writing right here is such high quality embossment that you can feel the texture, you can feel the difference. You don't even need to look at the box. You can just feel it. It's right there. That is consistent no matter how old. I have boxes from 15 years ago. They're exactly the same. You can feel the texture no matter what. So that is actually the number one thing I do, is just to make sure I can feel that texture on the lid.
Now, some boxes, you're going to feel the texture more than others. I know this one, I can feel it pretty good, even though it's thin. This box, I can feel it really good, but mostly just right here. So it's not super raised right in here, but there should be some spot along the signature that you can actually feel. And on this box, for me, it's right here. Here you can see different styles of lids. The ones on the left are older, and then the ones on the right are newer. The two on the left, they're basically the same, at least as far as the Christian Louboutin signature is the same. It's the same thickness, same style. The Paris is also the same thickness and same font. The only difference is that because this box was a little bit bigger, the Paris actually seems to come up a little bit farther. When you look at it though, you realize that the Paris is the exact same distance away from the signature on this box as it is on this one. So like I said, this box being bigger, it just sort of pushed the Paris up a little bit. If you're looking at one of these older style boxes and you're not sure whether or not it is authentic, measure the distance between the Paris and the signature. I found out from going through all of my old pairs of shoes that the Paris is the exact same distance from the signature on every single box. So you'll measure the edge of the signature, and then you're going to measure all the way down to the top left corner of the P in Paris. And you should end up with 70 millimeters, give or take a couple of millimeters, or approximately 7 centimeters. Or if you're measuring in inches, it should be close to 2 3/4 inches. These two are newer. As you can see, this one is the same style as these two. It's just a little bit thinner. So during these years, he started to thin out the signature. And then finally, we have the newest box, which is the most different. The signature is straight, it's not slanted, and then the Paris is a lot smaller and underneath the signature.
I'm going to go over what I look for in the signature to verify that it's authentic, because you can use this on almost every Louboutin signature. There were some differences during the Vero Cuoio days, which we'll go over in my third video, but if you look for these things on the box signature, it should be the same on the insole, and on the red bottoms, at least the current style, it should be the same. You're going to start out by looking at the L, and you want to make sure that there's that point up here. Then you're going to go down here and make sure that the L almost touches itself. So it comes down here and it almost connects. Then look at the L and look at how it flows. It should flow from thin to thick, thin to thick, thin to thick, thin to thick. That needs to be consistent no matter how old the box, that is still consistent. That kind of flow between thin to thick on the L. The Christian part is going to be smaller than the rest of the signature. Then you're going to go down and look at the O's. So the O's, there's always this little loop-de-loop. So there's kind of like a big O and then a little O. That is consistent on everything. Always look for that O. Then the first U, the two sides are going to be the same height, but on the second U, the left side is going to be taller than the right side. Then look at the T, and this little cross right here should go evenly from thin to thick. And then finally the N has that little curvy tail. Again, just to show you on this one, we have the point up here. We almost touch back there. We do the thin, thick all the way around. Smaller writing, double O's, same height, taller, thin to thick, and the little curvy tail. This is an example of a fake. There's a lot of things wrong with this. First, the lines, of course, are the wrong way. They are vertical when they should be horizontal. The lines are also too bold of a color. So comparing the real signature with the fake, you can really see the difference. This signature looks too narrow. It's kind of scrunched in compared to the original. You can tell that it was painted on really poorly because you can actually see the cardboard showing through in little spots on the signature. Looking again at these ones right here, you don't see any spots in here. No signs of the cardboard coming through. It is perfectly painted on. With this one, you can see that they painted it very poorly. You can see parts of the cardboard coming through. Even though this side is higher like it's supposed to be, it almost looks too high. And then it's got this little extra part right here. Even honestly, if you look up here, it's supposed to be thin to thick, but it's thin, and then it got a little too thin right here in the middle. Here's the original. The U is high, but it's not too high. And then you can see it's perfectly thin to thick. Again, this U is too high. It's got this little part right here that shouldn't be there. And then here you can see it's supposed to be thin to thick, but right in here in the middle is too thin. It's those little details that make all the difference in the world. Now, as terrifying as this is going to sound, it is very easy to purchase an authentic Louboutin box. They actually sell them on Poshmark and eBay. So even if you've gone through the steps and you know that the box is authentic, you still have to verify that the shoes match the box. That is why the sticker is so important, to verify that the sticker matches up with the shoe. You also want to verify that the sticker is a high quality sticker. It should not look like it was printed out at home. We're going to look at stickers from the past 10 to 15 years. These ones on the right are all newer, and then these ones on the left are all older. This one, for example, was made in 2014. So that makes it 11 years old right now. Now, when we're looking at the stickers, I'm not worried about all these extra little stickers. We'll talk about those here in a second. But the only thing I'm looking at is this main sticker right here. This is the one that comes with the shoes from Louboutin. You're going to want to look at the sticker closely and just make sure that it doesn't look photocopied. For example, here is an authentic sticker, and then here's a fake one. You can definitely see the difference between these two. This one, you can't even read the signature. It's just such a crappy job printing it out. So now that you've looked at the sticker, you can see that it was printed on well. Then you're going to want to make sure that it fits the style. All of these have one line of information that's bold, one line that's not bold. Then they have this little box that has a number, a QR code, the size of the shoe, and then on the newer ones, there's an extra code right here. This code is simply missing on older styles. So if there are newer shoes, you're going to expect to see either a W51 or a W53. Now, if I'm being honest, I have absolutely no idea what the W51 and the W53 mean. So if you know what they mean, please feel free to let me know in the comments, because I've been dying trying to figure out what that code is. But like I said, all the new boxes have it. So you're gonna verify that this is all accurate, it's in the right format, it's a good quality sticker, and then you're gonna go in and actually look at the information and make sure it matches up to the shoes in the box. And to do that, we're gonna look at the first two lines. The first line is always the style name, heel height, material. Style name, heel height, material. And then the second line is the color code and the name of the color. Color code, name of the color. Sometimes there's more numbers after the color code on some of the older ones. Yeah, this one down here has one too. Don't worry about that. That's fine. As long as it is an older box, it should be fine. I don't know when they changed that or why, but there are some older stickers that do have more numbers after the color code and the color name. There's two things you're going to do. First, you're going to go through that first line and make sure that this matches up to the shoe. So make sure it's a Hot Chick 100 millimeters and it's Napa. If it's a Hot Chick 100 and then it's patent, I would definitely look at that shoe because there's a good chance that's not really a Hot Chick. But again, verify Hot Chick 100 Napa. Okay, yes, that's what's in the box. Then look up the color code. It's a red flag if the color code doesn't match the actual shoes in that box.
I'm going to show you how you can look up the color code on the dollies that I had. The color code was P754. So you'll put in that 4-digit color code on the sticker, and then you're going to put the word in Louboutin, and that is literally all you need to do. You should come up with a pair of Louboutins that is the exact same color as your shoe, and I did. It was the first thing that came up. But you can even keep looking if you're not sure, and you can see P754 gummy, and it came up with another pink Louboutin shoe. So that's how you know that the color matches the actual shoes in the box.
R492, if you look that one up, but it comes up with the Psychic Loubi color, which is what is in this box. M47, that's a really rare color. And so when I looked that up, I actually only came up with one shoe that matched the color pattern for this shoe that's actually in the box. Just know that as well, is if it's a really rare color, you may only get 1 or 2 examples that pop up. No matter what, you should get an example that matches the shoe that's in the actual box. Now there are some differences, as you can see, between some of these stickers. On the newer stickers, the Christian Louboutin signature is slanted and it's inside this black box. You can see that there's kind of a white border, and then you're going to see that the top of the L touches up here, and then it touches down here in the corner, and then it almost touches the middle right here. So older shoes are basically the same. I just noticed that sometimes the border may look a little bit thinner, but the main difference is that although the L still touches up here and it kind of touches in this corner, it may actually touch the center of the box right here. Now the other style is this style right here, and this is the one that doesn't have the black box. So instead of having this black box and having that same format, it's gonna have a line here that's separating the information, and then it will have the Louboutin signature on the left hand side. If you notice, the Louboutin signature actually matches the top of the newest boxes. So I would expect to see this on newer styles because the signature does match the lid on the box, but it's straight, it's got the pairs underneath it, and then it kind of follows a similar pattern. So you've got larger font up here, and it will have the style name and the heel height. Then beneath that is actually going to be the material, so this is patent, and then beneath that is going to be the color. They took the color code and they put it down here above the QR code, and again you can see that the newer ones have that W53 or W51 code. You can see that there are extra stickers. So if you see this red sticker that is authentic, depending on which store you bought them from, they had different stickers that were put on the boxes. So this is authentic. These are authentic too because these are just from the store. So that's Neiman Marcus, Bergdorf Goodman, etc. So if you see those extra stickers, that's totally fine.
We're going to look at one from 2008 so you can see the difference. The armadillo, this is a very popular style from 2008-2009. Instead of, touching right in the corner and then not touching here, it touches just off the corner and then it touches right in the center over here. The font is a little bit different. You can tell with the size, but then also looking up here. Neither one of these are bold like they are over here. But other than that, it follows the same pattern. So you have the style, heel height, material, and then the color code, and then the color name. There's just an extra space in between these two. And that's pretty much the biggest differences between those old stickers from 2008 and the newer ones. Here's another example, and same thing. It's the older style box where it's just off here, and then it's touching centered over here. And then again, there's that extra space, and then you have the style name, the heel height, the material, the color code, and then the color name.
Now we're going to move on to the accessories. The accessories are the paperwork, the tissue paper, the dust bags, and the heel taps. First, we're going to start off with the paperwork. Number 1, Louboutin will never, ever, ever put an authentication card in the box. So if you see an authentication card run. Report that listing and run, because it is a fake. You will oftentimes see this little card that says love your red soles, and that is authentic. Any paperwork that comes with your shoes is gonna be very high quality, and it's gonna have crisp writing. Nothing should be smudged at all. This card in particular is very weighty. It's a very thick card. Think of like the really expensive business cards. It's like that. It's basically like cardstock. What you need to do is you will see little red symbols in the corners, and you'll see a red symbol on the back. And other paperwork will have that red symbol as well. What you need to do, run your finger over the red symbol. You can see that symbol itself is engraved and it's painted red, so you can feel the texture. It will be even more obvious with the symbol on the back. It's not really engraved, but painted, and so you can feel the texture as well. And it should be like that with any paperwork that you get that has this little red symbol, is you should be able to feel the texture on it.
With one of my shoes, I did get another little envelope here. On the back of the envelope was another symbol that, again, you can feel. And then once you open it up, there's a card that, again, had that symbol that you can feel. You can actually see the texture on it right here. So always, 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 you should be able to feel this. And then on the back of the card, this is what it said. But again, any paperwork you get, it should have a symbol or something on there that is either embossed or engraved, something that has texture that you can feel.
Now we're gonna look at the dust bags. As you can see, they are a little bit different. This has definitely caused some confusion. First, you're gonna make sure that there's heel taps, and if they are, the heel tap bag should match whatever dust bag is in that box. So if it's a red dust bag, it should be the red heel taps, and then of course if it's the white, then it should be the white. The heel tap bag is just a smaller version of the dust bag. So looking at the dust bags, you can see they are the same size. This one is red with black writing, of course, and this is white with red writing. And the signature, you can see on both of them, the signature is very, very crisp. The other thing you can do is similar with the box. You can run your fingers over the texture on either one of these, and you're going to be able to feel it. You can feel the difference in texture between the writing and the bag. So that's pretty much where the similarities end. So the red bag is going to be a lot thicker than the white bag. It's also going to be a very soft, kind of a felt-like velvety material. It's really, really nice. Really nice, very high quality. The white, on the other hand, it's a little bit thinner, and then it's more of like a canvas material, so it's a little bit rougher. I believe the reason he went to the white bags was because the red bags can tend to bleed red onto your shoes over time if you store them in here. So even though these ones seem so much nicer, this one's actually better to store your shoes in. So I believe that was why he changed the bags. So looking at the shoes, you can see that they're packed very similarly. All of my older ones have this basic white tissue paper surrounding the shoe. Not a bright white, it's more like an off-white color, but nothing fancy, just basic white tissue. However, on newer shoes, you may actually see this fancy little tissue paper that has the CL initials. Now, we're gonna look at this tissue paper in the toe box. You may end up having a shoe tree in there to kind of push the tissue paper up.
Inside the shoe should be the very soft, luxurious, thick, sort of like a fancy Kleenex type of tissue that is stuffed into the front part of the shoe. So looking at the tissue paper, the older style tissue paper that's in the shoe is the exact same style that is in the newer one.
Remember, this one is 10 to 15 years older than this one, but the tissue paper is the same. When you compare them to each other, they don't look like anything special, right? They just look like basic white tissue paper. But if you compare them with regular tissue paper, you're gonna be surprised. This is regular tissue paper, this is Louboutin tissue paper. Look at the difference. This one looks so bright white compared to this one. This is going to be cream, off-white sort of color. Then when you look at the quality, this one, it's very crumply, it's kind of see-through. It just looks like cheap Walmart paper. But this one is super duper duper soft. It is very thick. This is like the fanciest Kleenex you could ever possibly imagine. Like if the Queen of England were to use Kleenex, she would use this. That's how fancy this is. It's just such a difference in person when you see the quality of the tissue paper, the Louboutin tissue paper over regular. So the color and the texture are going to tell you whether or not the tissue paper is authentic.
It's definitely possible that you may see non-Louboutin tissue in an older box because it's possible that the seller got rid of the original tissue paper and maybe is trying to stuff it again before they ship it to you. So if you see this tissue paper, it doesn't 100% mean that that shoe is a fake, but if it has the authentic Louboutin tissue paper, that's a really good indicator that the shoe may actually be authentic. So that's why we look at the tissue paper, because if we can verify that the tissue paper is authentic, good chance the shoes may actually be authentic as well. And then if the tissue paper is not authentic, we're going to want to take a little bit harder of a look at those shoes.
All right, guys, you should see a little icon popping up over there that will take you directly to the next episode in my guide. If for some reason it's not there, it just means I haven't uploaded the guide yet. I try to get these out once a week, so hopefully very soon I will have it up if it's not there already. As a reminder, please wait to purchase those pre-loved red bottoms until you see my entire 4-part series. My whole goal with this series is just to help you shop safely on the pre-loved marketplace and not get scammed. In the meantime, I did actually create a Louboutin Legit Check guide. This is a full guide that will take you through the whole process. Of course, the videos are going to give you even more detail, but this is a great reference or a cheat sheet just to reinforce the stuff that you're learning in the video. The last thing you can do is that if you've gone through the video and you've gone through the guide and you're still stuck on a pair of shoes and you're not sure if they're authentic, go ahead and head on over to Reddit. I started a Louboutin Legit Check community and I'll link it below in the description, but it's full of hundreds of wonderful people just like myself who are Louboutin fans through and through and who love helping others out. If you've gotten to the end of this series and you can think of additional tips or tricks that we can use to authenticate Louboutins, please feel free to drop a note in the comments and let me know what that is. I am always trying to learn more myself and get better at authenticating them, and I love helping others out as well. Drop a note and let me know what that tip is, and I'll add it to the updated guide in 2026. So I hope this helped. See you in the next episode, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!